brings things full circle. So, of course, just like Pastor Melva said, we can't do this alone. U.S. Bank is all about one U.S. Bank. And that was the reason why I joined their organization back in 2019, because I really wanted to make sure that purpose aligned with vision, which aligned with what God had called me to do in the marketplace. And so with that being said, we power human potential. We've got several people here helping to make that happen. A young lady, and I'll say young, who I've had the honor of knowing since I went to her quinceañera as a teenager. Sodi Nichols is also with U.S. Bank, and she just got promoted to, to nationally make impact in communities of color. So when you talk about what tangible impact looks like, and then you bring it full circle and bring it into ministry, it is the whole role that you're experiencing when you're working with at least the local team of Wisconsin. I know Jamal is here, and for those of you who have had an opportunity to be a part of the Access Home experience, he is a passionate brother who's serious about what he does inside and outside of U.S. Bank. And so it's just an honor to just be a part of what's going on here, to be on Clubhouse, which is a testimony in itself. And then just also to be able to be a conduit for people like Keisha, who's going to her seat, who just said, Nina, I'll be there. My cousin, Miss Damita, who's from BMO, no judgment. And then other leaders that are coming together to not only break bread and fellowship, but also build community within our sphere of influence here locally and abroad. Jackie and I got a chance to spend time, and I'm looking forward to spending more time beyond Wisconsin so that we can continue to build a bridge that not only helps communities, but also builds ministry. When you're working, when you're doing your jobs, when you're trying to build a career or create an entrepreneurship, if there's a ministry component in you, it's going to bubble out. It's going to come out. You're going to become that Pastor Cheryl, right? Because it's who you are. It's who you are. And so from that perspective, I do want to give Sodi a moment to come up and just talk for a minute about Access Home, because I think we're going to be launching a new cohort. And then while she's doing that, I just want everyone from U.S. Bank, if you can just stand so people can see your face. I really appreciate it. Thank you guys for joining us. And yes, they will get their praise on at the same time, so... Just a wonderful experience. Thank you, ladies. All right, Sodi, I'll hand it up to you.
So I stopped telling that story about Nina being at my quinceañera when I was 15, when people started to look at me very quizzically because I started to look older than Nina. So I don't really tell that story anymore, but thank you, Nina, for doing that. But it's true. Nina has been a mentor, a friend. My father worked with Nina. I'm second generation doing this work. Really proud of that. She has opened doors, but more importantly, she has opened hearts. She has opened minds. She has connected Pastor Melva and I, and for that I'm forever grateful. I walk into this convening annually now, and I have to tell you how I prepare for this. Girl, don't cry, right? I'm getting ready in the morning, like, this is not a space that you're typically in. You will look crazy, right? And immediately, as soon as I hear Pastor Melva, as soon as I hear the music, as soon as I see all of you, it hits me and I understand why we continue to do this work. If I ever doubt, right, it's walking into a space like this and feeling what you guys feel and feeling the hope that emits from you. Understanding that we really are doing something important. This partnership is critical. It's critical for us. It feeds us in so many ways. And I understand in the conversations that I've had with so many of you how important it is for you as well. With that, I wonder if we can show the video, and then we'll continue our conversation.
To put together a cohort of 100 women that Melva Henderson Ministries and U.S. Bank, we came into partnership. So we started on this journey to get women who had never owned a home into home ownership, because we understood that home ownership in real estate was the first step toward building generational wealth.
I heard about it through one of the announcements that there will be a cohort. It came across the pulpit, just attending service, that this is something you just don't want to miss. I believed that this time around was going to be different. Like, I believed that I was going to be receiving keys. And I still believe that to this day. The path that God set me on, you all were right there. It was perfect.
I'm 7 months in. I did receive approval back March 24th of this year, 2024. So I'm in the process of looking for a home as we speak.
Excellent. Okay.
The program has helped a lot. I didn't ever think that I could own a home on my own, but being in the women's cohort program, it made me want to own a home.
You know, one of the most important things in life for me is to make a difference in the lives of someone else. And so this cohort has been such a blessing for so many women. And maybe you're someone that's watching and you have had a desire for home ownership. I want you to know that we're not finished. We're just getting started. And so this relationship and this partnership that we have with US Bank, we just have so much vision. It's all designed to increase your life and to help you create generational wealth for your family. I'm excited about the future, and I'm excited about how all of us together can make a difference in the lives of someone else. So thank you to those of you that have joined the cohort, those of you that came in 2023. And if you're interested in being a part of the US Bank collaboration with Melva Henderson Ministries, we want you to come on and join us. Make sure that you get involved. God bless you. Thank you. We'll see you soon.
Incredible. So this has been a partnership that we have been involved in over the last 8 months. We have opened minds to the concept of homeownership that might not have ever considered it as viable. Now, not only is it viable, it's within arm's reach. We've had an opportunity to give pre-approvals, to see women go through the process, continue on the process. We have folks that are just on the cusp of making this happen for themselves. And I don't know that I can properly convey to you how much we want it for each of you. So it's been a really incredible journey thus far. There's 2 women that have been featured in this video. Are they here today? No. So let me tell you their stories, because again, I know it was difficult for you to hear. One came to us when we launched this cohort, and I remember her. I didn't when I first saw her the day that we were filming this, but she started to tell her story, and I instantly remembered. And I went through my personal phone and found a picture that I had taken of her that day, because she moved me in such a way. She said, "You don't know how much I needed this." She didn't tell the rest of her story. She didn't give me any inkling as to what was going on, but her tears were an indication I didn't need to know the rest of the story. But subsequently, I found out she had been evicted just before the launch of this cohort. So imagine going from eviction to future homeowner. That is an incredible journey, and that is what we wish for all of you. The other woman in the video is pre-approved. She is actively looking for a home as we speak. Hopefully she's at an open house right now. But again, shared that she never envisioned this for her. And isn't that a place that we've always been? Sometimes we can't even envision what is for us until a door and a mind are opened. And so thank you for allowing us to be a part of this process. We will be starting a new cohort, so I hope that you feel inclined to be a part of this next body of work. We have learned a lot along the way. It will be bigger. It will be better. We will continue to have Jamal. Jamal, I know you just took a bite of food. I am so sorry, but if you could stand up. Jamal will be back today at the end of today's session from 2:30 to 3 o'clock, taking names so that we can start to connect and make sure that when we are ready to launch, you are ready as well. So thank you for being our partner. Thank you for the work that you put into it. We are here to serve you.
Come on, let's give it up for U.S. Bank. I want to just really quick, if everybody, I know some of you are still eating, but if everybody could reach up under your chair, because the ladies, the t-shirt ladies, stuck a number 18 representing 18 years under someone's chair. And if you got that number, you're winning a few of my favorite things. Who's got it? You got to get out and look. Look underneath your chair. It's under there somewhere. The tag for the chair does not count. No, ma'am, that doesn't count. It is a Post-it note. I think, is it yellow? It's a green Post-it note. We got a winner over here. All right, here she is over here. All right. Come on, y'all, one more time. Let's give it up for the winner. And I also want to say, if you were here today and you did not register, that means that you didn't get the free gift that we gave to everyone. And so you want to make sure that you get registered. Maybe go in the back there, and they will give you a registration bag. And so we've got a lot to do in an hour, some things I want to share, and then we're going into our breakout sessions. Could someone give me the list of the breakout sessions just so that I can call the name properly? If you have your schedule, they're inside your bags. It's not in there, Pastor Dana. I don't have one. Anybody, you got that? Can I see it, Pastor Andre? All right, and so after today's session, we're going to be going into breakout rooms, and these breakout rooms, yesterday, our focus was you. We got into some heavy things last night, but today our focus is going to be others. So we're going to turn you around, because a lot of times we become very inward focused. And what you don't want to do is you don't want to live your life unto yourself. You want to find yourself faced outward, not just thinking about what's going on with us four and no more. Life becomes significant when you put somebody else as a priority. Are y'all with me today? And so today is about others. And so as you're going into these various breakout rooms, just remember that. And so the breakout rooms are going to run for 3 hours. And so if you don't get in the first hour, you can shift and go into it the second hour. But the first one is She Boss, being a boss in business. Stand up, Pastor Cheryl. The second one is Homegrown Harmony, nurturing love and connection in marriage and family life. Chantel Sain, stand up, please. Courageous Compassion, women leading outreach to heal the broken. Stand up, Pastor Dana World Patterson. Commissioner, Pastor Dana World Patterson. The Visionary You, setting personal goals that align with God's calling. I didn't see Johanna. Oh, there she is, Johanna Duckworth. Cultivating Wealth, practical steps to investment success. Melanie McEwen. There she is in the back. And then Palette of Purpose, following God's call with your unique colors. Pastor Lisa Anderson. And so here's the thing. All of these sessions fit these women. And they are going to talk from a place of experience, and so just know that it's going to be good. I want to just tell you all right out the gate, the bookstore is over there. Henderson House Publishing and Bookstore is over there. That's one of our second bookstore, but it's over there. And in there you can find the book, She Gathers. And I'm going to be talking about this morning. The whole conversation around our breakfast is She Gathers, and the importance of ministering, serving, when you look up that word ministry, it's the same word as service. And so we make a lot of ministry, but essentially it means service. And how many of you know that it doesn't matter what sector of society you are in, we are all in the ministry. No matter what mountain you may stand on, we are all in ministry because we all serve. All right? All right. And so I want my daughters to come up here for a moment. These girls, I literally gave birth to them. And I want them to come up. And Kiana is my firstborn. She doesn't look like it, but that baby's 43 years old. She's got a twin brother, and these are my girls. And then there's Kayla Wayla, vocalist extraordinaire. But these girls represent my generations that are to come. And so this morning, I just want to talk to you all, and I'll tell y'all when to seat, so just stand there for a second. But as I've grown in life and ministry and business, one thing that's become very clear to me, and that's the fact that in order for me to see the vision that God has given to me live beyond me, I have got to bring others alongside of me. That includes my daughters. Yesterday was the first time, well, it wasn't the first time that they've been in, but I mean in MHM, it's the first time that both of my girls were working in ministry with me, and I stood down there. I was so proud, just thinking that both of my girls are serving alongside. They both love the Lord, and they're both doing what they need to do to serve other people. And I was just blessed by it. But these are my girls. And when you think about your life and you think about what it is that you are called to do, it's important that the people that you bring alongside of you, they have to understand and they have to learn how to execute and carry out mission. I didn't say missions, I said mission. Whatever that mission might be, they have to be in close proximity to you or to me to receive what's necessary to carry on the mission, right? And so being in close proximity means that you get to see what to do, but you also get to see what not to do, right? Are y'all with me this morning? You get to see what to do, but you also get to see what not to do when you're in close proximity, right? And so when I say in close proximity, I don't mean that they live with me. They need to be close to me. They don't need to live with me, but they need to understand my rhythm and the mechanics of my movements. In a way, I'm kind of talking about succession. But they need to understand my rhythm, and they need to understand my movements. And when I say I'm talking about you. And what it is that you have been specifically called to do. Are you doing what you've been called to do alone? Because I like to say it like this: none of us are as great as all of us, right? And how do we accomplish the things that we've been called to accomplish by ourselves? We don't. No one that's ever achieved any measure of greatness or success has done it by themselves. You are going to need somebody else. Dr. Samuel Chan wrote a book called Who's Holding Your Ladder? Right? Because the higher you look to climb, or the higher you desire to climb, the more people you're going to have at the bottom scotching for you. One of the reasons that we feel so burnt out and tired is because we're not, I've been walking around here, sit down. Every time I move, somebody's telling me to sit down and get something to eat. Well, that's the power of team. They can see when I'm overworked and tired and that's the power of team. But none of us are as great as all of us. And for you to achieve what you have been called to achieve, you got to bring people alongside of you. All right? Did I make that point good? And so they have to learn, they have to see, they have to learn how to execute and carry out the mission. And so, they're going to have their own styles. Kiana's not like me. Kayla's not like me. I think I used to beat them because they weren't like me. Why can't you be like me? But they're not like me. They have their own style. But they have to understand two things. And I want you all to hear my heart, because I'm talking to those of you that are coming alongside of me, or somebody's coming alongside of you. They have to understand this. Where are we going? You've got to understand where we're going, and you've got to understand why we're going. Somebody say amen. Why are we going there? Or what do we have to do, or what does God want to see lived out of our lives that will stay in the earth so that when I'm gone, my legacy will continue to live on? I have no desire to be a one-hit wonder. I have no desire for all of the work, all of the sweat equity that I've put into this, that it ends when I walk out. No. I'm looking for succession and sustainability in all that I do. And so we all have to understand that. Girls, you can take your seat. Give it up for my girls. And so there won't be legacy if I'm not investing in and pouring myself into those that are coming behind me. And so this is why you find a lot of verses of scripture in the Bible where God tells the people of Israel to take what I'm giving you, put what I'm giving you in your heart. And then after you get it in your heart, I want you to turn around and I want you to teach it to your children. Right? And so the implication there is that their children are already alive. You can't teach a child that's not living anything. And so the implication is that you are to teach those that are currently with you what I've taught you, is what God is saying. And so to do that, that's Deuteronomy chapter 6, verse number 7. He goes on to tell them, when you sit down, talk about it. When you lay down, talk about it. When you're walking down the street, talk about it. In other words, there is no season or space in your life, no type of day that you are not thinking and imparting what you possess. Now, what I'm saying to you, what I don't want you to do is I don't want you to think about this from the Melva Henderson context. Because all of us, no matter where you are in life, all of us at some point, you're going to pass on what you have. And you want to make sure that in your passing it on, that you're being very intentional about that. All right? And so what God was saying in Deuteronomy chapter 6 is keep this going. Don't let it rest with just your generation alone. There's another one with you, and there's another one coming behind you. And so while you are with them, feed this to them. Talk about it with them. That's God's methodology. What he gives to you, he intends for you to give it to others. And so if the vision within you is God-given, ladies, that vision has to be postured in a way that will ensure its survival. Why? Because God put it in you, which means that he has an intent for it to impact lives. We talk about trees and we talk about fruit and we talk about all of those things, but something that you realize is that no tree bears fruit for itself. Right? I love this illustration, but you've never walked past an apple tree or orange tree laying on the ground with his hand up under his head, eating its own fruit. You don't see that. We understand in the natural that that's not the way it works. That when a tree produces fruit, who is that fruit for? Others. And so all the fruit that you produce in your life, it's not for you. It's for others. And so sometimes you can get a cook, somebody saying, I'm enjoying my own cooking. You're not supposed to enjoy your own cooking. Yes, you are. I'm just teasing. And so think about this. Think about what God has put in you and what is in your heart to do. Will it last just your lifetime? Is it going to just stay with you? And are only the people that are in this room going to get to benefit from who I am and what I possess? Or are you posturing yourself in a way that what you have will live beyond you? I want what I have to live beyond me. All right? And so consider the word legacy. The word legacy, and I was surprised when I saw this because I had my own idea about the word legacy. But legacy literally means a gift. It's a gift. It's something that you transmit from one ancestor or one generation to another. That's legacy, right? And we want to transmit and transfer rich legacies to our children, to our spiritual children, however they might be in our lives, to our mentees. You want to be able to transfer something that will continue to make an impact. All right? And so, I thought about all the fasting, all the praying, all the Bible reading, all the Bible teaching, all the traveling, all of that. If something were to happen to me today and then that fizzles out, I didn't do what I needed to do for sustainability and legacy. And so it doesn't matter how young you are or how old you are. You need to be thinking about how you can reproduce yourself. So if you want to see God's mission to impact the lives of others fulfilled, you're going to have to be intentional about cultivating relationships. And I'm not just talking about female, but there are predominantly women in here, male and female, with people who understand these things. Those that are ready to get into position to catch what's coming. What did Elijah and Elisha? Elisha told Elijah, Pastor Elaine, where are you going? Elijah said, God said to go to Bethel. Elisha said, we're going to Bethel. Elijah said, God said, go to Hebron. Elisha said, we're going to Hebron. And so wherever it was that Elijah was called to go, Elisha said, I'm going with you. And at one point, Elijah tried to push Elisha not to follow him. He said, you stay here. I'm going to go to the next place, Bethel, where God has called me to go. He said, as long as God is living, I'm going where you're going. What is the implication of that? That's a person that when the transfer happens, they're going to be in position to receive that download. Amen. And so now I'm what the Bible calls a seasoned woman. And I'm not ashamed of that. She said, come sit over there. I'm now what the Bible calls a seasoned woman. And what that means is that I have a responsibility to obey Titus, the 2nd chapter, which tells the seasoned women to teach the younger women. What am I to teach them? My life lessons. It may have made people uncomfortable for Geronda to walk through her journey, and she gave y'all the R-rated version of what happened in her life. And so, it's important that I'm ready to give and to teach the things that I've lived through, the good and the bad. Because remember, you don't just learn what to do, you also learn what not to do. Right. Shortly after the pandemic, 2 things started to happen. The first thing was I started getting calls and inboxes from women of all ages asking me, how I've done what I've done throughout the years, and I'm not talking about one or two, I'm talking about consistently. Women reaching out and asking for mentorship or questions regarding how to execute what God had put in their heart. The second thing that happened was that there were many that were like me. They just jumped off into the pool of purpose. They just jumped out there with no mentors. They didn't have anybody to help guide them along the way. They had vision, and that vision drove them to step into their calling with heart. And I get that because that's how it was for me. I had to learn flying by the seat of my pants. And times when I reached out for mentoring, rarely did it happen. So I jumped out there, with my heart out there. But unfortunately, I paid a great price. And let me say this to you. You don't have to do and go through what I went through. You don't have to go through what Mama went through. If you will take the time to listen. I tell Cheryl and Lisa, I tell them all the time, I don't want you all to go through what I went through when I first started ministry. Do I say it? I don't want you to go through what I went through. I did that. This baby, Demara, where is she? The other day, Demara was telling me that she had taken some time off to create those beautiful T-shirts and the anointed shirts that you all are wearing. And she was saying that, I took off work to do this. I said, don't ever do that again. I'm not asking you to pay that kind of price. I paid that price. You don't have to sacrifice to that level. I did that, so you don't have to. Do you get what I'm saying? You don't have to pay that price. And so there are things that those that were ahead of us have gone through and they've learned. I don't have to. If you tell me it's raining outside, I'm going to go get an umbrella. I'm not going to go out and say, I'm going to see if it's wet. What's going to happen? You're going to get wet. And so we don't have to learn the way that those ahead of us learn. If they can lay it out in front of us, listen. And I'm especially talking to those of you that are in generations under us. Right? Because, Google makes you think, and now AI technology will make you think that you got all the answers in your pocket. But what AI technology cannot do is give you an experience. Most women want to do things their way. They want to do it their way. And, they believe, they want to do what God is telling them. And that's okay. But what they don't realize is that there are many nuances of executing a divine calling. And if they don't learn that early on from the mentors and the examples and the people that are around you, many women will become disgruntled and disillusioned when they step out. Right? Because it looks glamorous up here. We got the pretty curtain behind us and the flowers behind us. But when you take all of this away, let me show you what it looked like back here. Let me show you what it looked like back there. They back there say, close the curtain, close the curtain. That's real. And so we want you to have the glitz and the glamour. That's okay. But we also want you to have a balanced reality of what work takes. You think these ladies at U.S. Bank, it's a cakewalk. You got to vice president just because you were cute, right? No. There's work to this. And I know that I'm in the church space or the church context, but what I'm saying applies to whatever context you are in. All right? I was thinking about this morning. I've been hosting women in worship now for 18 years. But prior to that, I was a project manager for a fellowship called Dominion Fellowship, and I did that for 7 years. And I've hosted community events like the Milwaukee Give for 18 years. I've done global initiatives for over 18 years in places like Mexico where we did the shoe distribution, and we're still doing it through Andrew and Tiffany Bucksot's multicultural missions in the Little Feet of Mexico. the Tiny House Initiative in Delma, South Africa. We're still doing a lot of work. We've accomplished a lot, but we haven't done enough, right? And the main thing that we haven't done is exposed others to the inner workings of what we do. And so those close to us have been able to see and they've been able to learn. But if I really desire to see impact on a wider scale, I've come to realize that I'm going to have to open things up a little bit more and give people a glimpse into the mechanics of accomplishing the will of God. Do you want to know? That's not to say that I know it all, but I do know what I know. Say she know what she know. All right. And so I do know something, and I'm not just talking about making a room pretty. I'm talking about providing tools that will help you change the trajectory of somebody else's life. And so, you know, I know that I'm running out of time, but I want to say this. You know, I wrote this book, She Gathers. And this is not to promote the book, but it is to promote the book because of the content in the book. And so Wendy, stand up, Wendy. Wendy has been my editor for 20 years, maybe more. And Wendy will tell you that it usually takes us months, maybe even years, to get out a book if we don't focus. I wrote this book in a week without Wendy. Listen to me. Listen to me. Without any help, I wrote this book because I had a vision of women gathering rocks. And the rocks that they were gathering looked somewhat like the colors of this book. And so women were gathering rocks, but when they were gathering the rocks kept falling. They didn't know where to place the rocks. They didn't know how to place the rocks so that the rocks would be stabilized. And in that vision, God then downloaded in my heart this book. And I just started writing. And I actually took some time, went in my office, closed the door, and I didn't come out for days. And I just kept pecking away at what God was giving me. And so what I did was I went through just some of the things that I started seeing because I started noticing I was getting invited to women's events. And as I would go to those events, I would get in there and I would see and hear my heart that these events became nothing more than a space for trauma dumping. I have no problem with us dealing with trauma. But the whole purpose behind what we do and why we do what we do is to transform lives. And so if you invite me to your space and I walk out the same way I walked in, that's not good. But if I walk out the same way I walked in with tools, that's different. And so this was in my heart because I'm a seasoned woman. To say to the women that are hosting events for women that what we need to understand is that you just don't host an event for a woman because you can host an event for a woman. Now, you can. But if we're talking about eternal impact, that's a whole different level. And so thinking about the fact that there are 4 billion women in the world, 4 billion. And you want to reach women. How many of you, if you feel like you're called to reach women, stand up. Like that's your calling. Stand up. Look at this. Watch this. Oh, I knew. Look at this. And so here we go. Dana will tell you that I've never really felt like I was called to women's ministry. I feel like I'm called to the bodies. Keep standing, keep standing. I'm called to the body, male and female. But there are elements and pockets of my calling that do cater to women. And so what I've realized is that if I'm going to impact your life, I have got to know what your needs are. I can step and I can say, ooh, I'm a host a pajama party. Ooh, I'm a host a sleepover. Ooh, I can host a lot of things. But if I don't know, there's 4 billion women in the world. I'm not called to 4 billion women. You're not called to 4 billion women. You're called to some of them, but you're not called to all of them. And many of us, we step to do these things, and 2 things, you don't know what their needs are, and you don't even know what demographic you're called to. Because in the midst of women, there are multiple demographics. Women have complex needs. Which one are you trying to meet? You made it clear. Women that are trafficked. Now, I know that that's extended to other things, but women that are human sex trafficked is who Daniel World Patterson is going after. Most people that step to host events for other people, you have no idea what the needs of that demographic are. And I'm telling you, if you learn who your demographic is and what that demographic needs, it will position you to better serve them. The reason that some people got up last night and they walked out, they couldn't relate to what Geronda said. And so then those breakout groups may not have been as impactful for them. But for those that could relate to what she was talking about, those breakout groups, I was going past the doors. They're crying. They were packed. Standing room only in some of those rooms. Why? Because their need was being met. Just keep standing with me. I'm talking to the ladies called to other ladies. 4 billion women. I'm not asking you how many of them you're called to. I'm saying, what demographic within that 4 billion are you called to? Do you know? Have you taken the time to do the research? No, I'm going to host whatever. That's not good enough anymore, you all. Because we're going for impact. Everybody say impact and transformation. Everybody say transformation. You can be seated. It's so important that we not cast a wide net. Because when you cast a wide net, you'll be like the fishermen in the boat with Jesus. You'll cast it out, and what's going to happen to the net? The net's going to break. You won't be able to retain that harvest. And so our mission is to impact lives in a way that nobody that God has called us to impact is lost. Nobody gets lost in the shuffle. So thinking about your demographic, what about your skill sets? What about your strengths? You say that that's the demographic that you're called to meet. And this works in every arena of life. You're saying that you're called to that demographic. Do your strengths and your skill set match that? Do your strengths and your skill set match what that woman needs? Because sometimes we try to connect with people and it's like we just don't fit. We just don't fit. I had to grow to the place where I had to realize, and Cheryl says it like this: I'm not everybody's cup of tea, but I'm somebody's cup of tea. But I had to grow to the place that I realized not everybody is going to be able to embrace me. All that means is that you are one of the 4.04 billion that I'm not called to. And I had to get that right in my mind, because if you step out thinking that you can reach everybody, you are going to be sorely disappointed. And you're going to easily take offense when you come to somebody and they're telling you, what? Leave me alone. I don't want to talk to you. Don't be nice to me. I'm not one of your girls. When you get that kind of stuff, and you get it. But you will internalize that and take that personally. What is it about me that they don't like? It has nothing to do with them not liking you. It has everything to do with you not being called to them. You don't have the skill set and the grace. Look at the lady next to you. Say, I'm not called to everybody. Say, settle that. I'm not called to everybody. Amen. And so, I like to say, for every vocation, there's an equal allocation of grace. For every vocation, there's an equal allocation of grace. For everything that you've been called to do, there's an equal measure of grace to get the job done. So that means that you will never step to do something and not have the power and the equipping in you to get that job done. Well, that should have blessed y'all. Once you determine who your demographic is, the next thing that you want to do is do your research. Learn her. Understand her needs. What has she been through? Get the background work on her so that you can minister to her life effectively. This is why you often hear people say, there are people I will reach that you may not. Because their needs, I get it, I understand it. And I will say this. That, in the book I talk about everything. I talk about grab bags. Like, I get so irritated when I go to an event and everything in that bag, I end up throwing it in the garbage. I get irritated. I really do. I'm like, what a waste. I'm throwing it away. But what a waste. If you're going to cater to the specific needs of that woman, you're going to cater to everything. How many of y'all like that journal I gave you? You can use that, right? You can use that. But there are things that come up in grab bags. You all think about everything to the minute detail. Think about it all. Everything needs to serve that woman. And I'm going to say something, and I don't mean any harm, and I don't want Anne-Marie getting mad at me, and I don't want the men to get mad at me. I love our men. Y'all know I love our men. My first priority, though, today was you. It was you. And so everything that we did it thinking about you. Will she be comfortable? Where will she park? It's why we chose not to do it at our North Campus. We don't want her walking in the middle of the night. Everything we did it with you in mind. Do you see what I'm saying? Do you understand what I'm saying? And so as you're thinking about how you're going to serve women or girls or whoever it is, think about everything. Don't give them grab bags that they, like, we got enough hand sanitizer, y'all. I don't mean no harm. I got enough. I don't want no more hand sanitizer. Like, don't give me no more hand sanitizer. I just tell you, if you invite me and I'm on the list, if y'all got hand sanitizer in there, take that out, because she going to throw that in the garbage. Don't give me hand sanitizer. I've had enough of that. And I understand, because here's another thing that happens. Somebody said, give it to me. What do they call those people? The OCD people? They're like, give it to me, give it to me. Here's the other thing that you find happening in these events is that really it's nothing more than a branding event. Tell me you love me. It's nothing more. I'm a seasoned woman, so I can tell you. It's nothing more than a branding event. You're there to just pump your brand. And you don't really care about the needs of that woman. And so what you want to do is care about her needs. And in the midst of that, let your brand be elevated. There's nothing wrong with elevating your brand. Your brand should be elevated. But your first priority is who? Others. Others. So I'm closing. But as a seasoned woman, I was talking to y'all as a seasoned woman today. You know, and if you're following me, that's what you're going to start hearing a lot of. Just a lot of correction, a lot of adjustments. Because, you know, I was going to do a podcast, Jamal. And my podcast was going to be called What Your Mama Should Have Told You But Didn't. Oh, I'm telling you, I had a television network after me saying, do it, and we'll get behind it. What your mother should have told you, but she didn't. Because what we see today, there's so much, you know, and I'm not going to take my seat. I'm going to close with this. Just want to help you. And so if you're going to be out here helping women, this is a step-by-step guide for hosting women's event. I talk about everything, including paying yourself. I've done women in worship for 18 years, and probably 6 of those 18 years I paid myself. And you can have every excuse in the book. Well, we got to pay for this. And in the book, I say, pay yourself. Well, we got to do that. Pay yourself. Because here's the truth. Pull you out of the equation and you all are sitting, you know, we were with Sodi at the girls' night out for U.S. Bank. And I leaned over to Brianna Anderson and, you know, they shared the vision that she had for the home buying. And that was such a powerful thing for me. I was a single mom with twins. Didn't own a home. I stayed with my grandmother. And, you know, and so here's an opportunity to get single moms into their own home. What a beautiful thing. And so I jumped all over that because I saw the value.